Thank you, David. As they say in another forum, let the games begin. We are at this much talked about crossroads in terms of the future of public service broadcasting. As one of the more successful people, along with the three endeavours who arrived in the early hours of last night and this morning, who managed to get out of Ireland, a little headline in one of our national papers, it didn't excite much comment, but I was interested. It was from our Minister for Communications. It said, no licence fee in 2020. It was a small, two-column article. The Minister merely said that the day for the licence fee is coming to an end. I don't think there have been any protests on the streets. And I think it's the kind of message, in some shape or form, that lots of countries are getting. There is a serious question mark over all of our futures. 2020 vision is the theme of this conference. If I was to give you a shorthand for that, I would say the time has come to get real. That's the message, that's the focus, and no better way to start posing the questions posed by the challenges than to welcome our first formal speaker this morning. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome the Vice President of the European Broadcasting Union, Claudio Cappon.
Good morning. Thank you all for this kind of invitation. First of all, let me too express my deepest sense of sadness for the untimely sudden death of your Secretary General, Mr. Peter Sauer. I would like to join the grief of the entire Assembly for such a loss, expressing the full solidarity and closeness of the European Broadcasting Union to the whole CIRCOM Association. We are all aware that the world of media is going through a process of fast and huge changes due to the technological developments of the last 10, 15 years, which has sparked a new wave of competition and the need of appropriate actions to face a totally different environment. The digital revolution, gradually implemented all over Europe, is indeed beginning to be hardly felt by mainstream televisions, which are experiencing decrease of their shares of viewing and strong reduction in advertising revenues, both for the impact of the structural changes and, of course, the heavy consequences of the world financial recession. In short, a new media world is actually, and I would say finally, emerging. And TV operators must now define new strategy for such a situation, a challenge which appears extremely demanding, because yes, we know we are in a new world, but no one really knows how exactly this new world will be, what kind of habits, consumptions, and proposals will be successful in the audiovisual world, and whether fragmentation will create a kind of content divide among generation and social groups. The challenge is for the whole media sector, but certainly public service broadcasters are facing in this situation one of the most troubled periods of their long history, with growing financial difficulties, less political support, and difficult choices to make. we must be aware, and I think we must say openly, that in some also important parts of Europe, public service media is actually in danger, mostly for financial reasons, but also because of political developments and plans that seem aimed at downsizing this public space of media while overlooking the importance that such services still hold in shaping our cultural and democratic environment, in supporting the creative world, in defining identities and protecting diversity. We have to react to such a deteriorating trend, and we can do it through a clear vision about the needful changes. Changes are indeed needed, aimed at regaining citizen and policymakers' consensus and support. What is in question now is the role of the public media in a multi-channel, multi-platform world where market is capable of offering a wide range of contents and services. Personally, I think that the answer to such difficult challenges is in defining and supporting a new legitimacy, this is the word I often use, for our public media, leveraging on the strength of our brands, the production of original content, strong and independent information, new offers for all citizens. This action implies a digital strategy, which is now needed, a financially sustainable system, and an increasingly distinctive offer. Public TV and radio broadcasters, in order to keep their impact on society, have to move into the new world with a wider multi-channel offer, so that all the citizens, and not only the more privileged or affluent groups, are allowed into the digital world. The principle of universality of our offer must be preserved. In a market of growing specialized pay TV offer and targeted viewers, such enhanced offer by public media may also be seen as an opportunity to exploit the peculiarity of our production, of our rich archives and originated programming, through a more tailored offer in our characteristic areas of production. As an example, let me mention my experience, RISE experience, which shows how the gradual switch-off process, which will reach 70% of the Italian population by the end of this year, allowed to launch new channels with specific public service features, features which were perhaps a bit blurred in traditional mainstream channels. We have now a new bouquet whose universal access is guaranteed and provided more than 10 new channels, all news, kids and children, 2 sports channels, history, cultural channel, movie, and young audiences. And this new offer is based, of course, on our own production, but also capitalizing on the rich basis of rights and archives that we have accumulated during the years. The results are so far very encouraging. In the areas where the digital transition has been already completed, it is in all digital areas, the new offer, the new digital offer, the new digital channels have reached 7% of the audience search, more than balancing the decrease in mainstream TV audiences. And then, second question, sustainable financing, of course. Let me say that a ghost is haunting most public service broadcasters in Europe, and its name is lack of resources. And this is happening at a very moment when efforts for change and investment in new technologies and offers are most needed. To such a problem, there are no easy answers. Also because the situation, though a common pattern to many countries, still varies from the slightly difficult to the utterly tragic. But, in my opinion, keeping in mind this idea of new legitimacy as a key word for the direction of change, we must consider also on a problem of financing some change and some challenges. First of all, there is a clear need of restructuring and overhauling our organizations. Responsible and sometimes difficult management decisions are to be taken in order to increase efficiency, not only for the necessary cost saving, but also to show the citizens, our constituency at the end, that we are doing our best out of the money we receive from them. Then, I think that we should probably also think of maybe doing fewer things but better. Also, this, of course, may vary from country to country, organization to organization, but probably must be more accurate in defining the scope of our activities up to the point of setting clear boundaries, the way BBC is proposing, for example, defining not only what we want to do and where we want to be, but also, on the contrary, what must be necessarily left to others or to the market. Then there's a question of public funding. I think that while a mixture of revenues, of course, is still needed, and also it's very much based on the historical situation of different stations and countries, the principle of public funding and the license fee in particular is still the most appropriate tool for planning and developing the activity of PSB, also because it creates a mutual obligation between our viewers and ourselves, and to shield our organization from the growing uncertainties of the advertising market. We must be aware, though, that this, the license fee and public funding is meeting growing difficulties in many parts of Europe, where governments are less and less keen on supporting it. We think not only for financial reasons, but also for a kind of, let's say, demagogic reaction to the general difficulties, to current financial problems. Well, of course, the situation differs, but as for funding, I think that we only need to keep it the way it is recommended by the Council of Europe. And I quote in its declaration in 1996, member states undertake to maintain an appropriate, secure and transparent funding framework, and the decision-making power regarding funding should not be used to exert any influence over editorial independence. These are the pillars on which a sound public funding is to be based. As EBU, we are clearly committed to defend such principles and will support them in national governments, parliaments at the European level whenever needed and requested. In a global world where technological platform and distribution networks are multiplying, programs are certainly increasing in numbers, but they risk being poorer in quality and all alike in content. This is an opportunity for us to leverage on the high level of originated content, our archives, as I mentioned, and internal creativity. More than ever, the answer to international formats must be our distinctiveness and the strength of the relation with our citizens and territories. This necessity is also a clear opportunity for regional and local programming to confirm its privileged traditional place in the world of public media. In a very uncertain and changing landscape, many broadcasters are indeed confirming and even increasing their local production of news and originated programming. This is in fact a service to our communities, which clearly stands in line with the surge of this new legitimacy, and which is often openly requested by public opinion and policymakers alike. Diversified and rapidly changing local communities need to be represented in the audiovisual world through high-quality projects that may provide citizens with accurate and independent information and support creativity. Some trends are encouraging. Let me again mention my Italian and RISE experience, where less than 2 years ago, we gradually launched an early morning regional space called Buongiorno Regione, which has had a huge and steady success, doubling the share of the viewers compared to the previous programming. I'm quite confident these trends will continue, and the future media will be still more, future public media will still more focused on regional programming. Finally, I would like to say a few words about something that, according to me, will be more and more needed in such complex and sometimes harsh times, and this is solidarity. Diminishing resources, increasing challenges are calling for more cooperation, more mutual help, and exchange of products and experiences. At EBU, we are clearly aware that closer and effective solidarity among members is one of the key in preserving a strong and sustainable environment for the future of our services. As an example, and maybe a first step, just let me mention the Special Assistance Project launched at the second part of 2009 from EBU, which is specifically aimed at the support of those members in particular distress. This is a project with not much money, nobody has a lot of money, but capitalize on synergies from all the members. In a few months, with support from major broadcasters over the Union, we will gather a high-quality program package of more than 600 hours to offer for free. We organize special training workshops on archives and digitalization, and even more important, we have decided a much more active role to support public service towards national and international institutions through missions, public events, and position papers. Overall, about 17 European Broadcasting Union members have been able to receive some kind of material and/or political assistance so far. This project, which I hope will be continued in the future, is maybe just a small feat for now, but it is also proof that our potential is still strong. And with a clear vision and more cooperation, we are certainly capable to face the difficult times ahead, reshape and renew our organizations and production, and provide our countries with a strong public service for the digital era. Thank you.